That's starting to look pretty good. I'm going to take a towel now and wipe this off a little bit.
Now what would we do if, say, we sanded just a little bit too much and kind of went through the paint that we've already have there?
Well, if that happens, you can just go back and refinish again.
Okay.
I'm going to take and sand out a little bit of the dirt and lint that we've got in a couple other spots here too.
So if we did get a piece of dust in while we were painting, you can get that back out?
Sure. Just sand it smooth again. You can see where, as the water dries on here, where you're at. That looks pretty good. It looks like we're ready to use some compound on here now. Well, Scott, now I'm ready to use this compound on here, and I'm going to use a relatively coarse compound to begin with.
Okay.
I'm going to apply it to the panel, but you can also apply it to your buffing pad if you like. It's kind of a personal preference.
Right. Again, I want to remind you, whenever using power tools, make sure you're wearing safety glasses. Okay, Randy, why don't you give us a couple tips to remember when using a buffer maybe here?
Well, you can see that I didn't apply a lot of pressure to the buffer. That because we use 2000 grit sandpaper, it'll polish out relatively fast. Also, you've heard some terms about burn through and rub through. You can actually burn the paint if you don't use enough compound on the surface and the pad becomes too hot, and you actually can scar the paint. Rub through is also like in an area on this body line, or if you apply too much pressure, you can actually rub the paint, right off of there.
Okay, so like on a line like this or up on a fender, you got to be real careful in those areas when buffing. And again, probably you can't use too much polish then, I would assume.
Well, I guess there is a point to using too much, but you're better off to use too much than not enough.
Okay.
And again, if you do go through the paint or you scar the paint, you still have to start back over at your refinishing steps.
Okay, let's go on to the next step then.
Okay, what I'd like to do now is follow up with a finer compound, because you notice that because of this coarse compound, we have some what I call swirl marks from the buffer pad.
Okay, while Randy's changing the buffer pad, I'm going to wipe the door off with a damp towel to get this coarse compound cleaned off from the door here. And quickly, I'll go over it with a dry towel. And we want to make sure we clean it off real good, because we don't want the coarse compound mixed in with the fine compound. You set, Randy?
Yeah, I'm going to start out with our fine compound again, just applying it right to the door panel. Pretty much the same way as we did the others.
Really, it is looking nice. I'm going to wipe it off again here. That pretty much did take all the scratches out there, didn't it?
It looks pretty good.
Okay. It's sure shiny, but we don't have any protection on it yet, do we?
Yes, we'd like to probably put some protection on here, but because of the manufacturer's recommendations, I'm talking about the paint manufacturers and the people that make waxes, it might be safe to wait maybe possibly 30 days before you apply any wax.
Okay, sounds good, Randy. Thanks for the great information.
Oh, thank you.
Well, now on the vehicle that we just completed our repair on, it didn't require us to apply a clear coat top coat. But if yours does, I'd like to spend just a couple of moments talking about that. You're going to have to do all the procedures that we just performed, including your wet sanding and your blending of the areas with the buffing pad. But once you've got that done, leave everything still taped up with the masking tape, and then you're going to go back over the area with some 1000 grit sandpaper. Very lightly sand on the area, because all you're really trying to do is scuff the surface a little bit so your clear coat top coat will adhere. Once you've got it scuffed up, then simply run over it with a lint-free cloth or a tack cloth such as this to remove any dust or lint that may have gotten onto the finish, and then you can simply apply your clear coat top coat. A small repair area may only require a small can of clear coat like this. A larger area, such as a door or a fender, is going to require you at least to have one large can or maybe even multiple cans to make sure that you've got a good covering on that area. Now, if it was just a nick you were actually fixing, just a small bottle of the nick repair clear coat will suffice. Once you've got that done, the last step you're going to do is go over it again with the very fine cut cleaner to blend the area into the rest of the vehicle. And you might want to even do the entire vehicle with something like this. 30 days later, make sure you're applying your wax coating for protection, and you're done.
Let's review color sanding and buffing. Allow the paint to dry for several days before final finishing. Mask off any moldings or stripes to prevent damage from sanding and buffing. Wet sand the area with 2000 grit sandpaper. Wipe the area clean with a soft towel. Apply coarse rubbing compound to the area and buff. When finished, clean the area thoroughly using a clean cloth. Next, apply fine rubbing compound to the area and buff. When finished, clean the area thoroughly, again using the clean towel. Wait 30 days and apply a good quality wax. For clear coat vehicles, lightly scuff the area with 1000 grit sandpaper and wipe the area clean with a tack cloth. Apply clear coat top coat paint. Perform final buffing of the area with fine cleaner. For best results, do your entire car. As with regular paint, wait 30 days and wax the entire vehicle to restore shine and protection.